Attorney Tanya Mitchell Graham. Honey, listen, I've known you forever, but I am learning new stuff. I am so grateful that you are here, and I'm really grateful that we are going to help women navigate what can be a very challenging, stressful, oh my God, child support is so stressful time. Okay, so I'm curious to hear your answer to this. Women who are completely new to this whole child support thing, what are the most common mistakes that you see them make?
Well, of course, going to the Department of Child Support Services when the guy makes a lot of money. In the case, listening to the guy, letting him influence her decisions on her litigation. Please, let's not be emotional when it comes to taking care of our children. Let's please get everything that we're supposed to get. Sometimes guys will go and talk to the mother directly and say, oh my God, the child support worksheet says I'm supposed to pay you $1,200 a month. Girl, we can agree on $500, can't we? Can't we do that? That lawyer is just trying to get money out of you.
He's just trying to get money, right.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so they listen to that type of thing, right. Which hurts them, and more importantly, it hurts the children, because I feel like even if mom has a great job and she makes a lot of money, right? If you don't need it to take care of your child, take that money and put it in an account for your child, a 529 or something.
Absolutely.
Right?
Right, absolutely.
So the child can have it later on, because the truth of the matter is the child support is not really for the mom. It's for the support of the child, which includes not just their clothing and their shoes, but also the roof over their head. Mom has to have a car to take them to and fro, you know? So it's everything that the child needs, which includes their lifestyle, the house, the car. Not that dads are under no obligation to buy a house and a car. However, some of that is contemplated, which is why a lot of gentlemen want to say, I want to see what she spent the child support on. You don't have to do it, ladies. You don't. That child has somewhere to live. That child has food to eat. They are neat and clean, and they go to school. Your job is done. You do not have to account to anybody.
So one thing that you're making me think about, I think a lot of women don't know what else they should be asking for. Meaning, of course, we need money for, you and I have young adult children. We know what it costs to raise a kid, educate a kid, all of that. But what about the other things that I don't think women always know to ask for, i.e., maybe it is college money. Is it that the father needs to have a life insurance policy in case something happens to him? What are some things that you would like to share with our audience?
Sure. So in addition to the child support, someone has to pay for the minor child's medical and dental insurance. If mom can't do it, she needs to ask for dad to do it. Also ask for vision and orthodontic. A lot of times children may need counseling. Now, to the extent that these items are not covered by insurance, then what mom wants to do is split the cost, not necessarily equally with dad. So let's say, for instance, dad is ordered to provide medical, dental, vision, and orthodontic expenses. And let's say that some of those expenses are not covered by insurance. And let's further say that on the child support worksheet of the total family income, dad has 75% of it and mom has 25%. Mom wants to pay her pro rata share, which would be her 25% of those uncovered medical expenses. So you need to address that. A lot of people are just thinking about child support and they're not thinking about, okay, what about when we get these expenses, which are inevitable? Then we need to talk about school expenses. Now, everybody, I think, thinks about childcare, but then you go into aftercare and before care. You need to think about those expenses. How are those going to be paid? Are we going to put them in the child support worksheet, or a lot of men will ask to pay that directly? Well, I want dad to pay his pro rata share. That's going to be important and imperative for mom. We also need to talk about extracurricular activities for the children. Nobody's thinking about that, especially when your baby is 6 months. But let's say you don't want to be running back to court every 2 years. Let's talk about it for the future. And maybe we can divide the extracurricular activities for the children on a pro rata share. Now, you always want to get dad to maintain a life insurance policy for the benefit of the minor child or children in the amount of his outstanding child support obligation. A court, a lot of times, is going to award that to you, and you got to make sure that you ask for it, because if you don't, it's not automatic. It's not just given. You know, a closed mouth will not get fed in child support court. You've got to ask for everything that you want. Now, with respect to college, in Georgia, parents are only required to support their children through secondary school or when they turn 20, whichever comes first. Secondary school is high school. So sometimes, you know, children have a late birthday or may have started late or for whatever reason. So that's as far as child support goes in Georgia. However, if you can get dad to agree to pay for college, either outright, some portion, you can now make that a court order. If it's by agreement, it could then be incorporated into a court order and now enforceable. So it's very important to ask for that, but a court will not order that. All right. And so same thing, like a lot of kids sometimes need counseling. And so you want to make certain that those expenses are covered too. And so you want to make certain that you're paying a pro rata share of those to the extent they're not covered by that insurance that you want dad to maintain for the children.
Understood. Very, very helpful. Ooh, Tanya, I have learned so much.
Good.
And I hope that we have shared, you know, the right information, the tools, the nuggets, whatever our community, what our women need to navigate this. I see you raising your hand. I know you got another point.
I'm raising my hand because I want us to talk briefly, if we could, about modification of child support.
Oh, no. We got 2 more topics we're going to cover. This is, honey, this is just chapter number 1. Okay. No, we
Girl, go on then. Go on. I should have known.
Honey, listen, if I have you, our subject matter expert, like I said, there is nothing more important to me than to know that women get the help that they need to help them through some very challenging times. You and I both have had a lot of life happen. You know? And what it has meant to me to know who to go to get the advice when I had my back up against the wall and I was having some life that impacted me financially. So we're gonna make sure our sisters are good. Okay, so now let's assume she has her court-ordered child support, right? But he's not paying at all, or he's not paying the full amount.
Absolutely.
What is she supposed to do?
All right. Well, again, if dad is not paying at all, there are 2 options. The option that does not cost anything but about $20, of course, is to go file the warrant for child abandonment. Now, what a lot of gentlemen will do, now dad won't get arrested right away. What happens is mom is making an application for a warrant. So dad will get a letter in the mail saying an application has been filed for a warrant for your arrest for child abandonment. We're going to have a hearing about it. And so dad, you need to come down to this hearing on thus and so date at this time. So dad will then very quickly go pay a couple of dollars and then come down to the criminal abandonment hearing and say, well, judge, I got all that caught up. Well, if he's got it caught up, depending on the judge, he might be able to walk free. He might not, because he was committing a crime at the time in which the application for the warrant was filed. Some guys will pay something thinking they'll outsmart the system. Well, you know what? I'll just give her $50. You know, some judges might go for that. Many judges will not. They will look at when the warrant was filed, had there been a period of 30 days or more in which this father, who has a court order obligation to support his child, did not pay. That's the easy one. The other thing is the petition for citation of contempt that we talked about. And so what's most disheartening is you've got 2 types of contempt. Now, a non-willful contempt might be when dad legitimately lost his job.
Got sick. Yeah, maybe he got sick. Yeah.
Yeah, you could get sick. You could, you
Right.
know, those are something that's non-willful contempt. A
Right.
lot of times the judge would still hold them in a non-willful contempt and give them some sort of payment plan.
Sure.
He might say, okay, you can pay your regular amount and then add an extra $100 to try to, you know,
You
chip
can
away
catch
at
up.
child support arrearage.
Right.
But the worst type, of course, is the guy who somehow he probably lied anyway when he got the child support order. He got a lot more money and
Right.
he's out here. I have a case right now where this woman has a child support order that was agreed to by her and dad. They came to an agreement, cool in the gang. Everybody's good. Um, so then dad decides he gets a new lady and he's all over social media. Even during COVID, they're taking trips. He's buying this new lady all sorts of stuff and posting it. And what's he doing with his child support? Not paying it at all. And he's got the money. Oh my God. So we filed for contempt. I asked for his incarceration. By the time we got to court, because it still takes a little while, the court still, you know, he filed an answer. We still have the 6 months to do discovery, which I did try to do discovery to figure out, is he going to try to lie and say, I don't have it, so let me request some financial discovery? He didn't even respond to that. What? So we get to court, so the judge is fuming. I mean, before we even get started, the judge has steam coming out of both nostrils. And my guy comes to court late. Anyway, but what he did do is between the time he got served and the time that we had a hearing, this
Right.
guy was something like 50,000 behind. He paid $20,000.
Wow.
But, you know, additional child support accrued and he owed about 38 by the time we got to the hearing.
Right.
And then we were able to show his Instagram post.
Right.
He's on there flexing and doing all this stuff.
Right.
So the judge gave him 30 days to pay $38,000. We're having a compliance hearing coming up.
Right.
If that child support is not paid on that day, he will be incarcerated until he pays the entire amount, and he has it. That's the bad part. He has the money and won't pay.
So what about that woman who's like, father has a job, W-2 income, he's paying inconsistently, she wants to get his check garnished. Is that possible?
Absolutely. So when we get the child support order, like let's say you get it privately or you get it through the administrative process or through DCSS. A lot of times those child support orders are not income deducted. You can ask, you do not have to get dad's permission. You can ask the court that issued your child support order to enter an income deduction order at any time. Okay, I'm gonna say that again.
So okay, I'm getting like, wait a minute, rewind. So you're saying right at the beginning, you can ask. He doesn't have to not pay. You can ask for that income deduction right from the beginning.
You can ask for it in your case for an income deduction order right then.
Nice.
So let's say you didn't know that you could do that. Your case is over and he's not paying, but he still has the job. You can ask the court to issue an income deduction order at any time. It's called an income deduction order, IDO.
So, and that's not a modification. So what we're saying is we can ask for that at any time we want to.
Yes.
What? I did not know that.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, they even have forms at a lot of the courthouses, or you can get an attorney to just file a motion for an income deduction order or just submit the income deduction order to the court.
Right. And how should she be documenting not receiving full payment? Is it like what will help support her case when she has to contact the state, contact her attorney to prove that, you know, the money's not coming in the way that it needs to?
Well, actually, a lot of times, all mom has to do is sign like an affidavit saying she didn't get it. But what you want to do is make certain that you keep good records. So if dad pays by Zelle or wire transfer, just keep up with that. The only time really I've had moms having to prove what they received and what they didn't is when dad says, well, I gave her this amount and I have a receipt for it. Because like conversely, when I represent dad, I tell him never give mom cash, because the court is going to consider that what? A gift. So you can't give mom cash, guys. And mom, you know, you got to make certain that you just keep up with it, but it's not as much of a burden on you. A lot of times, you know, you do have to prove that you didn't get it, but how do you prove a negative?
Right. And so what about the scenario, Tanya, if she has court-ordered child support? Let's assume she's supposed to get $1,000 a month. He pays her $300 a month, you know. Then he says, you know, wait a minute, here's $100 cash. You know, oh, wait a minute, I'm gonna go buy the kids some clothes. You know, I'll take care of that. How should she handle those situations?
Yeah, buying the kids clothes is a gift.
Mm.
He cannot go into court and say, well, I bought the kids. I have a child support order, but I bought the kids some clothes. The court is going to consider that a gift 100 times, every single time. 100 out of 100 times. That's a gift.
Okay.
That is a gift. Giving mom, especially if there is either the child support is going through the Department of Child Support Services, or there's an income deduction order, and he just gives mom $100. That's going to be a gift, sir, unless you have it as a money order and it says child support in the memo.
Right. Right.
Or if you cash app it, you put child support in the subject line.
Right.
Yeah, so that's not going to work. But what happens is, I don't encourage women to run to court too fast, because I want to be able to establish a pattern of violating the court order. Okay, so oftentimes, as hard as it may be, I like for them to wait until there's at least 3 months of arrearage before we file. Oftentimes, it's a lot more than that, because women put up with guys not paying for a long time. And a lot of times they try to, for the sake of the children, not be confrontational. And then next thing you know, it accrues, and you've got this massive obligation that's outstanding. And so that's what they do. They file contempt. If their child support is coming through. Now, here's a benefit for the Department of Child Support Services. They will file contempt for you.
And so you've gone through child support services, you're supposed to be getting your $1,000 a month, he's not paying. You just contact them and they're supposed to file this contempt order on your behalf. And then what action is the state taking at that point?
Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit.
Okay.
Let's go back to, let's say you establish your child support action privately with an attorney. You now have a court order. You can now take your court order to the Department of Child Support Services for them to collect on your behalf.
Oh, nice.
Now, okay, so you can do that.
Okay.
So like I said early in one of your earlier segments, is that I don't like DCSS to establish the court order, but I do like when they collect. Because, right, they can collect and enforce. Additionally, when dad is behind, sometimes they will on their own motion file for contempt because dad has gotten so far behind. They will suspend dad's driver's license for failure to pay child support. That is one of the benefits of utilizing DCSS, the Department of Child Support Services, for collection. Okay, now, even if you have them collecting, sometimes dad will kind of nickel and dime DCSS, you know, because they're supposed to pay them directly. So dad will pay, he's supposed to pay $1,000, you know, and depending on how friendly he's gotten with the child support agent, okay, he might pay $100. Oh, it's getting hot. He might come up with $1,200 one month. Then he's back to dripping it in at $200 and something dollars. You can go get your private attorney, can file your contempt for you, because sometimes DCSS, they may have 4,000 cases that they're collecting for. And so they can't get to court as fast as your private attorney can. So even though you have an order and DCSS is collecting, or if DCSS established the court order, you can file contempt with your private attorney and then have those amounts still paid through DCSS. I do like them to collect because of the benefit of having the ability to suspend dad's driver's license if he gets too far behind in child support. That way also, if mom wants to use that exclusively, and if she can wait a little time for them to get to her case, she doesn't have to spend any more money on attorney's fees. They will file that contempt on her behalf.
On her behalf, gotcha.
Yes.
That's huge, huge.
That's huge. And they suspend professional licenses too.
Right, right.
Like, so if dad is, you know, a doctor or a lawyer, they'll suspend that. They will suspend a passport.
Yep. Nice to know. Good information. I just recently went through a situation with a client who has an employee whose passport got suspended. It's been suspended for like 2 years because of child support.
That's right.
Yeah, just saw this. Okay, so one more question related to dad not paying. Dad's not paying the full amount, not at all. But again, she sees him, he's on Instagram, he's all over the place, living his best life. Is that helpful? Should she be documenting anything to prove that he's not paying, but clearly he's out here living?
Yes. Yes, document that, because he will come in court poor mouthing that he doesn't have the money. And you can pull up, I just did this in this other case, and pull up the Instagram. We actually pulled up his Instagram. My client was on the stand showing it to the judge. It was an in-person hearing during COVID, okay? And I'm gonna tell you why it was in person. The judge was going to lock this guy up, but he paid like $20,000 before the hearing. Right. And by the time he got there, he still owed $38,000.
Right.
We were showing the court. My client pulled it up on her phone and showed the video, and I had to put it in the microphone right there on the witness stand. And he's there flexing, talking about all the property he just bought and hadn't paid child support.
Oh my God.
So, you know, we filed those cases, and I asked for incarceration until they purged themselves of their contempt by paying the total amount. Sometimes, a lot of times, depending on how egregious it is and how much dad is flexing, and then if he shows up in the court with no payment, like that guy was going to jail. Had he not made a payment, I think a week or two, maybe a few days before the hearing, like the following week, because our hearing was on a Monday. So he made a payment. And it hadn't posted yet because our client was getting it from DCSS, but he had proof where he made the payment, and he thought it was going to be all good and he was going to walk out of court. But by the time we got through showing the judge his Instagram post, judge said, oh, you got this money and you're going to come up with all $38,000 in 1 month, or we're going to have a compliance. We are having a compliance hearing. And if you walk in here that day and her balance isn't zero as far as arrearage, you, sir, are going to jail. And he got ordered to pay all my attorney's fees. Mm-hmm. Yes. And you could do that with any other, basically any family law attorney can get that result when mom assists and helps us with the evidence we need to present to the court. Not just that he's behind, but that he has the ability to pay. And so mom, you know, I didn't follow the guy on Instagram, but mom had all this information and evidence for us. And this is the case where the guy, he refused to respond to discovery. Mm-hmm. So I could have compelled it, but once she showed me the Instagram. Right.
You know, case done. You know, no more work here.
He helped us and didn't know it.
Any other advice, Tanya, for women who are having problems getting their court-ordered child support? Anything that we didn't cover?
Well, we talked about 3 different things, and let me just summarize. We talked about them filing a criminal warrant for abandonment if there's 30 days have gone by, no payment. if they are getting their money coming through the Department of Child Support Services. We talked about a contempt being filed through DCSS. They will either initiate it on their own, or mom can take a trip down there and get it started. The other thing is for mom to file a petition for citation of contempt with a private attorney. And always remember, moms, that if dad has good W-2 income, there's nothing like having an income deduction order. So an income deduction order can be entered at any time. Now, if you have an arrearage, you will have to address that in some sort of setting, either the private contempt action or through DCSS if they're collecting your money, to a deal with the arrearage, the past due.
The past due. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! All right. I think we got them ready. I think they know what to do if they're not getting their child support.
Oh my God, my male clients are probably shooting daggers at me right now.
Okay.